The hallway was quiet, save for the muffled hum of an elevator somewhere far below. At nearly midnight, most of the hotel's guests were already asleep. But Rachel Pierce stood barefoot outside room 1412, clutching her phone and trying not to cry. The CEO of one of New York's fastest-growing startups, she had stood on countless stages in her heels and power suits, making speeches to thousands. But tonight she felt small, powerless, and trapped. Her keycard wouldn't work. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely dial the front desk. But worse than anything, was knowing that her ex-husband was somewhere in the building. He'd found her. Again. Rachel pressed herself into the corner of the hallway as she heard footsteps rounding the corner. Not him. Thank God. Just a man with a little girl asleep on his shoulder. The man stopped when he saw her, adjusting the small child so her head nestled closer to his neck. He was tall, dressed in jeans and a hoodie, with a tired kindness in his eyes. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked softly. She nodded quickly, forcing a smile. "Yes. Just, locked out of my room. Waiting for a new key." He studied her face for a moment, and then glanced at the door. "You look more than locked out," he said gently. Her facade cracked just a little. Her eyes welled up, and she had to look away. The man shifted his daughter to his other arm and crouched slightly so his words could meet her where she was. "Look, whatever's going on, you don't have to explain it to me. But if you feel unsafe, we can wait in the lobby together. My little one's asleep anyway." Rachel stared at him, caught off guard by the offer. She began, then stopped. The weight of it all was too much. The years of harassment, of courtrooms and restraining orders that never seemed to matter, of being powerful in every room but her own. "I'm running," she whispered. "From him. He's here." The man's jaw tightened, but he didn't say anything. Finally, he nodded. "All right," he said simply. "Come on. We'll keep you company till you feel safe." He led her to the elevator, his daughter's tiny hand dangling over his shoulder. When they reached the lobby, he offered her his jacket, draping it over her shoulders without a word. They sat in a quiet corner. The man never asked who she was or why she was running. He just kept his daughter close and told Rachel about how she loved horses, how she was scared of thunder, how her mother had died 2 years ago. "Being a single dad isn't easy," he said with a tired smile. "But people have been good to me. Guess the least I can do is be good to someone else when they need it." Rachel stared at him, overwhelmed by the quiet, ordinary heroism in his words. When the front desk finally called her name, saying her room was ready and security would escort her upstairs, she stood. But before leaving, she turned to the man. "You saved me tonight," she said, her voice breaking. "You didn't even know me, and you saved me." He shrugged modestly. "Just being human," he said. But Rachel couldn't stop thinking about it. Days later, safe back in her office, she tracked him down. She was a CEO, after all. And when she found his name, his story, his long hours as a janitor, his little girl's dream of going to horse camp, she knew what she had to do. A week later, he received a letter. "To the kind stranger who reminded me what it means to be human. Enclosed is a full scholarship for your daughter's camp, and my personal number if you ever need anything. You saved me when you didn't have to. Now let me return the kindness." He stood in his modest apartment, clutching the letter, his little girl looking up at him in confusion. "Daddy?" she asked. "Why are you crying?" He knelt down, hugging her tightly. "Because, sweetheart," he whispered, "kindness always comes back around." And somewhere in a corner office in New York City, Rachel smiled through her own tears, finally feeling, for the first time in years, like she wasn't running anymore. Even the smallest act of compassion can change someone's life. Be kind. You never know who you're saving.